By way of background, I don't really come from the development sector, nor does the bulk of the Paani team. So we really start with, so our roots start with a television show which we made almost over a decade back. In fact, in one of the episodes, our Professor Trilochan Shastri was deeply involved. And it was a show which was attempting to speak about social issues. And the grammar of that show was emotion. And that's the reason why I'm mentioning it, because in development, we sometimes do not adequately give importance to what is the currency through which one can actually communicate with people. And all of us as human beings actually communicate through the language of emotion. So facts, information, technology, all of this is important. But finally, if it does not speak through the grammar of emotion, it is unlikely to have enduring impact. Our attempt, at any rate, in our show was to deal with social issues with information, but with the language of emotion. The show, I would have to say somewhat immodestly, and please pardon me for that, we did think had a lot of impact on ground. So quite apart from what the show did in terms of the language of television, our attempt was, can we move the needle in terms of on-ground impact? So whether it was with child sexual abuse, whether it was with female feticide, whether it was with regard to dowry, whether it was with regard to alcoholism, there were enormous impacts. I mean, just to give you one example, an episode which we did on alcoholism, where the call to action was to get in touch with Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous in 4 weeks after the show had 3.5 lakh registrations to get into rehab. So what it told us is that maybe communication is an important part of the puzzle. It's just a part, but nonetheless an important part of the puzzle in working on social issues. So we decided to work on one issue rather than a show, and we decided to work on water. We learned something really important, and that is that the solution already exists. In fact, the one great realization during Satyamev Jayate was that there is no problem in India for which the solution does not exist. The problem is that that solution has not been taken to scale. So it's sometimes implemented in a village, in a taluka, in a district, in a municipality. But somehow virtuous things don't get the scale vicious things do. Vicious things acquire scale very rapidly, but virtuous things, there are independent challenges in giving them scale. So in the case of water, so what is the solution? The solution has been found by wonderful people. Anna Hazare did this in the 70s in Raleigh Siddhi. Popatrao Pawar did it in Hivre Bazar. There are many people, and if I've not taken their names, it's only for want of time. But they were finally oases in the desert. So for the last 40-50 years in the state of Maharashtra, we were taking the same names again and again and again. So in other words, we defined the problem was we have know-how, but no scale. So we are solving for this conundrum, know-how but no scale. And we were hypothesizing that communication could play an important role in solving this problem. We were not sure, it was just a hypothesis at best. Further, we studied the issue of drought and water. And what did we discover? That when you actually get into it in a granular way, you realize that the villages which solve their problems, whether it is a Hivre Bazar, whether it is a Raleigh Siddhi, whether it is a Nalavde Wadi, whether it is some of the villages where Aniket works, the key thing was they were able to bring people together. And if you are able to bring people together, overcoming divides of political parties, caste, religion, whatever it may be, local history, then and then only can you solve for water. So water does not allow very easily for a technocratic solution from above. It requires or seems to require an organic solution from below, the key ingredient of which is you need to bring people together and turn that word community from a phrase into reality. So to summarize, you're not actually solving for water, you're solving for social fracture. It's a very important point. When we think we're solving for water, we think earth-moving equipment, we think of all the technical aspects of it. But when you realize you're solving for social fracture, then the approach is different. And a different problem statement has a different solution. So if we are solving for social fracture, then we have to figure out how to get people together. So the first thing we figured out is that the worst thing we could possibly do is to make speeches. Nobody wants to hear speeches. Everybody is pakawed of, people telling them do this, do that, whatever. So it had to be outside of the arena of what in Marathi we call prabodhan. Prabodhan करायचं नहीं, ज्ञान नहीं देने का किसी को. How can we make it a people's problem? People should feel that this is not Paani Foundation's problem to solve. This is not the problem of the state government of Maharashtra. This is not the problem of an NGO and of a corporate. This is my problem. I own this problem. It is not only my duty, it is my privilege to solve my problem. You must feel good about solving their problem. So there was a carefully created design for it, which coalesced into this Satyamev Jayate Water Cup. So this was a competition in which the participatory unit was the Gram Panchayat. So it's not the individual, it's not the farmer, it's the Gram Panchayat constitutional body. What is the eligibility requirement? Nothing. In the selected taluka, every single village would receive a letter from us saying, please take part. What is the requirement from you? There is no entry fee, but you have to send 5 villagers for training in the science of watershed management. It's a 4-day rigorous residential training from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Aniket is smiling because we used to use the Manav Lok. So there's not a moment to spare. So वो 4 दिन they belong to us. And of the trainees the village is sending, of 5, at least 2 have to be women. If you do not do this, you're not eligible to take part in the competition. If you send more women, great, but you can't send less. And what did we really do in that training is, we believe that was our contribution as communicators. It was dil pe lagegi to baat banegi. So science of watershed management tha, lekin kyun karna hai? Why are we doing this? And what are the obstacles to overcome? Because everybody knows that the obstacle is गांव को इकट्ठा कैसे लाए. हम लोग तो 5 लोग हैं. But what happens when I go back to my village and try and motivate people? People say, are you mad? So I'm supposed to do this work by myself. And what is Paani Foundation giving by way of funds? 0. Not 1 naya paisa was given by Paani Foundation to any village. You have to do the work, find the resources, find the human beings. Now let's come to the human beings part of it, Shramdan. So it was a competition, but it was a competition with large cash prizes. So in year 1, cash prize 1 was 50 lakhs. Second prize was 30 lakhs. Third prize was 20 lakhs. Over a period of time, this prize money got scaled up. And at our prize distribution function, we used to distribute on behalf of Paani Foundation nearly 10 crores of rupees in prize money. A lot of people said, are you mad? And our funders especially said that. So I said, think about it. That when we do the IPL, in IPL for playing cricket for 6 weeks, a single player can earn upwards of 10 crores. Surely a villager or villages which are working for natural resource management should get 50 lakhs for winning at the state level. So we have to create the sense that this work has that sanman, has that honor, has that glamour. And various things were done to do it. So there's a competition, there's a training for the competition, and the third thing is the Shramadan for the competition. Now, in an era of artificial intelligence, we are talking about Shramadan, doing work with your hands. Why? The reason is not because we are under the illusion that you can do a lot of work with your hands. No, you cannot. The reason is this, that this was our answer to social fracture. That when people shed sweat together, when people cooperate together to plan a watershed, to implement their watershed design, it starts the process. I'm not saying it dissolves for all times to come. It starts the process of loosening the divides, of bringing down the walls that divide us. Because if we want a village to be transformed, then there is nothing as important as getting the village together. So in fact, the way we used to put it, we used to say that even if you want to drink water with your hands, you have to bring all your fingers together. So think of society as these different fingers. And if these different fingers can come together, then just as our hands hold water for us to drink, similarly, the village can hold the water which nature gives us to use. So these were the 3 elements of what we did and which we do even now with farming. So through that, a people's movement was born. We started in 2016 in just 3 talukas in 116 villages. But as you can see, in 24 months, this had expanded 25x. Many organizations supported this. Some of them are present right here. This Nimesh Bhai is here, Aniket is here. This is the collective effort of hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people. Aniket and Nimesh Bhai will tell you about how many people came together for this. And government came together, government servants came together, corporates came together, companies came together. So a genuine people's movement of every part of society worked together in Maharashtra. And can we go to the next? This is the impact on water. So they're staggering figures. These are all verifiable and we'll be happy to share with you. So it's incredible the amount of work. All non-funded by Paani. So various other organizations, of course, have funded it. But it became a people's movement which enabled this to happen. So 550 billion liters of annual water storage capacity was created across Maharashtra through the people's own efforts. Now, this on the face of it seems like a big success, but in fact it is not, because drought persists. If we look in our hearts, we have to know this, that drought persists, and there's a reason for drought persisting. And the reason for drought persisting is that until such time as we are able to crack the problem of the demand management of water, we will never be able to, there is never enough water. So water's existence entirely depends on our ability to manage the existing water. Those who are familiar with Jevons law know that in natural resources, it has to operate. Any augmentation of supply is met by increased demand. These two villages here, we made a film on it. It's a film about our failures, not about our success. And I say this taking full responsibility for it. So one is a village called Patoda, which is a village which we are all very familiar with, and the other is Hivre Bazar. One village managed demands management well, the other did not. And the impact of not handling demand management well is that ultimately you just need 1 year of deficit rainfall and you're back to where you started. So we decided that, look, supply side has enabled us to reach people and make them aware of the power of a people's movement. Can we now turn that same spirit, that same ethos, that same method to work in farming? So the key to demand management, we feel, is how do you make water efficient agriculture remunerative? Because the problem with Patoda and so many of our other villages has been that they had water, they turned to sugarcane. And Peninsula India does not support sugarcane. We don't have that much water. There is no scenario in which you can do it on paper. You can do the math. There is no way on earth you can have sugarcane farming. You would like to. But remember, if you do successful sugarcane farming, somebody else has got deprived of water, because finally water is a zero-sum game. There is only that much water available in the world. You're not going to be, when you augment supply, we have not brought fresh water. कि दूसरे देश से या दूसरी planet से हम लोगों ने पानी लाया, जितना पानी था उतना पानी है. So if we are basically talking about making the water last, then we have to find a way in which we disproportionately incentivize water efficient agriculture. So what is the key to doing this? We said the lone farmer cannot do this. This actually is a slide which has been created by our friend Vilas Shinde of Sahyadri Agro, which is the largest and most successful farmer collective in Maharashtra, perhaps in India in recent times. I could stand corrected, but it's a very successful example. And essentially the thought behind it is कि अकेला किसान ये नहीं कर पाएगा. There are just too many problems that the sole farmer is grappling with. So therefore we need to come together and collectivize to solve these problems. So in other words, the thought needs to be at all points in time that we are problem solving for these things. So how do we do this? So we said, can we take the same method with which we got so many hundreds of thousands of people together for water? Can we do this in agriculture? And for that, we created a new competition, which is called the Farmer Cup, the first edition of which was held last year. And just two key cornerstones, collectivization and knowledge. That because you come together, you are able to attend to many, many problems. And because you come together, you have access to knowledge at a completely different level. So the first thing that we did is that any farmer who joins on a crop specific way. So who joins? You have to form a gut to join. So we don't select who joins. Again, it's a demand based approach. So 10 of us in this room, we are from a village, we are all cultivating jowar, or we are cultivating makka, or we are cultivating soybean, or we are cultivating cotton. We form a gut. That's what you call it in Marathi. Let's call it a group. We form a farmers group. All of us are cultivating a single crop. Some farmer groups say that, oh, but we do intercrop with tur also. Great. So everybody who does soybean, intercrop, tur can join together. Some people say we do 3. He said, superb. So whatever it is, you should have a common set of crops. That forms a group. So cotton farmers and maize farmers together cannot form a group. We are from the same village. Why? Because your problems are not the same. Your challenges are not the same. Your inputs are not the same and your sales are not the same. So you need to have a common set of problems and solutions in order to come together. Who should come together? You have to select. How do you do it? You register with Paani Foundation. Does it require any legal formality? No. We said the legal formalities can follow. Don't start by forming an FPC and starting the whole meter of compliances. Start by coming together and experiencing what the challenges and opportunities of coming together are. When you experience these challenges and opportunities, and there is a certain, in Marathi we call it godi, techi godi lagte. You like doing that. Then it makes sense to go to the next level. It doesn't make sense to begin with compliance and all those problems. So what does the gut do? The gut gets immediate collective access to knowledge. So we tied up with all the agricultural universities of Maharashtra and put together a panel of scientists. When I say panel, because there should be a plant breeder, there should be an entomologist, there should be a nutritionist. So for each branch of agronomy, there is a separate person, a top expert, curated carefully out of entire state of Maharashtra, who does this. How is this done? This is done digitally. I'm mentioning this because this is what has enabled us to scale. So it is a digital Sheti Shala. A farmer who joins for his crop or her crop, as is more important, has to attend only one digital Sheti Shala in a week. Because if I'm a soybean farmer, I don't attend the cotton one. They're completely separate. If I'm a cotton farmer, I don't attend the maize one. So like that, for 36 kharif crops, we conduct these Sheti Shalas. These Sheti Shalas are fabulously attended. What does the Sheti Shala consist of? It consists of 2 parts. First, in 10 minutes, the scientist tells you what has to be done as per the crop calendar. So for example, if you're in week 1 of a crop, there are certain operations that need to be done. If you're in week 2, it's a different set of operations. So they will explain those operations for just 10 minutes. And all the remaining time is direct question and answer, where the farmers will open their camera and mic and ask a question. They will show a leaf, they will show a pest, they will actually do it from the field. So there is direct access to the top experts at no cost sitting from your home. Not only that, they also get access to a Telegram group where they can put in a written query, a written video, photo, and they will get an answer in writing within 48 hours. So this has been one of the keystones of the Farmer Cup. Collective purchase of inputs is something which has, I think, is one of the biggest factors behind the Farmer Cup taking off. Because without doing anything, just the fact that you come together to do a collective purchase leads to a 20% drop in costs. And there's no great secret behind it. I go and purchase 3 bags of seed and I go and purchase 100 bags of seed. Why will the price be the same? The dealer will drop it at my house. Instead of, each farmer going separately purchasing, separate transport करके वो लेके आता है, कोई मतलब नहीं है उसमें. So there is enormous low-hanging fruit, so to say, available due to the collective purchase of inputs. Collective labor, just as Shramdan was the corner of the Water Cup, collective labor is the foundation of the Farmer Cup. A group which works together on each other's fields stays together. बोलते हैं ना कि family that eats together stays together. वैसे this is a group that works together stays together. We've discovered. So why is this important? Because agricultural labor has become one of the biggest crises of agriculture. There's an irony in India, but it's true. It is not available when you need it. Very often weeding gets delayed fatally simply because at that point in time when you need workers, you don't get them in the quantity that you need them, or you cannot afford them. Now here the whole problem has been solved. So you have done 2-3 things at the same time. Number one, is availability. Availability is assured. Number two is cost. Because you're doing it for each other, so to say, money stays in the family. So nobody pays anybody. And this is ensured by the rules of the competition. So the rules of the competition require every farmer to be involved in this process. Third is collective natural pest management. So we made sustainable agriculture the foundation of this. So the whole idea is that you move in the direction of chemical-free agriculture. So we've not made it an ideological issue कि if you use a single spray, you're an evil person. But the attempt is to move in that direction. And what is the basis of that attempt? The basis of that attempt is knowledge. Because chemical-free agriculture requires considerably more knowledge than chemical-based agriculture. I mean, I know there are many experts who might contest this, but this is our experience. So, lots of films made. Now, what we are seeing over here, we are seeing yellow sticky traps, we are seeing blue sticky traps, we are seeing a pheromone trap in the center, we are seeing a Pakshi Thamba, a bird perch on the right. And these have had spectacular results. Today, any Paani village one goes to, you see the fields are full of these yellow and blue. For less than 100 rupees an acre, we are able to solve the problem, reduce spraying by at least one, often two sprays. Many farmers have been able to do all together. They've been able to do without the spraying of pesticides just due to this collective natural pest management. And the more the number of farmers who do it, the closer you move to critical mass, the more effective these methods are. So this is the other important thing that that the Farmer Cup has achieved. Next, collective sales. So again, by having collectivization of sales, you're able to find better customers rather than the village level product. You're able to send it to a larger aggregator. Margins are better. And in cases where you manage to get, one of the rules of the competition requires them to test for residue. So where your produce is residue free, we've managed to get substantial premiums from, I'm sure companies, you're all, there's Safe Harvest, there's Two Brothers, there's Mahavir Agro. They've all given very healthy, Aniket's organization has helped in getting very healthy premia for farmers for having residue-free produce. Social media is used very heavily so that every farmer in the village feels acknowledged. Not every, but certainly the ones who are doing stellar work feel acknowledged, feel encouraged by this. We do a show on Marathi television. It's a rather popular show. It will be on today in the afternoon at 2 o'clock on ABP. Again, with a very large viewership. So again, part of the idea is that how do we give the work that farmers and villagers do the status it has never got? What will be the impacts? So this is all data for just 128 leading groups. I do not have verified data for a larger database than that. So I say this with the caution that this is not necessarily true of every group which took part in our competition. This is true of the top 128. 20% reduction in per acre costs. Impact on productivity, I'm going to give it to you for 4 crops. You can see in soybean, it's gone from 7.22 to 11.36. Cotton from 6.35 to 9.59. Udad, almost double. Bajra, more than double. So you have a reduction in per acre costs and a 50% jump in yields. So all the money is really going to your bottom line. So the impact, you can see revenue growth is 51.7. Obviously, this will be impacted by prices. Actually, last year was not a good year for prices. You know, soybean, we didn't get the price that we expected. But nonetheless, simply because of this drop in costs and increase in yields, there's been this enormous growth in per acre profit. 125 groups managed to get their produce certified residue free. So the tests are done by TUV Nord following, all standard practices which are used for industry. And this was a big achievement. The farmers used to celebrate the report. Dhol Tashe, they used to take a procession through the village. There was so much joy. Not that it led to some great rise in income for everybody, but the sense of achievement that we could do it. That we had heard about this, we didn't feel that we could do it. But now that we have, we know it's possible. So now we are right now in Farmer Cup 23. So 22 was the Kharif competition for June to Jan. Now we are in Farmer Cup 23. There's been a doubling of the number of groups. I would have to say attrition is far, far less. In year 1, attrition was very high. Year 2, attrition is dramatically less. And the big success story has been the rise of women-only groups. So there are 780 groups in which there are only women. There are not a single man in it. And these are the groups which are doing the best work. So we have this difficult thing that we have the sense that we might have a situation in which the women win all the prizes because they're simply so sincere. So this is the thing, that women had never been acknowledged as farmers, despite the fact that 90% of farming operations are actually done by women. So being acknowledged as farmers, being celebrated as farmers, having access to, all the doctorates, people with doctor in front of their name, being able to ask them questions, cross-examine them, argue with them on a week-by-week basis has given them a thrill and a joy. It has also given them the opportunity for friendship. So many women tell us that, I had not even been inside my neighbor's house. So the fact that every morning you get up, you go into the fields together, they feel that we are not working. I don't know how they feel that, because all of the Paani team does agricultural work. It's really tough work. I mean, I really struggled. Amazingly, they feel कि ये काम ही नहीं है. हम लोग इतना, we're singing songs, we're just meeting our friends every day. So this is something which we feel is something which has enormous potential and can grow. What is the goal in all of this? The goal in all of this is not to keep growing the Farmer Cup. The goal in all of this is to create what we are calling farmerpreneurs, farmer entrepreneurs. So we've created an entrepreneurship development program in which 2 people from the 70 best GUTS groups were invited for a modular program on business. How do we scale our GUTS work as a business? So there is hardcore business to be taught and learned. We ourselves, I would have to say, are novices, and we would love to learn from the best. In fact, this is a beautiful opportunity to reach out, and anybody who's kind enough, we would love to learn, because we don't claim any expertise in it. But from what little we've understood over the years, we try to bring it to the table, and it's a modular program. So it's 2-day sessions at a time. We've completed the first 2-day session. Now the groups have to come back with a business plan, and we hold another 2-day session, and so on and so forth. And the hope is that over the years, we are able to first discover and then nurture farmer entrepreneurs, so that farmer owned and managed businesses ultimately take the place of this Farmer Cup and this attempt, and they are essentially, it is fully owned and managed by them. Yeah, thank you.